And then what, in your opinion, is the most likely to happen moving forward? Obviously, I mean, things are dynamic, so things could evolve over time, but
yeah, so I think the answer changes, will change over time. But so we look at all four options and the context in the last 6 months. That so we've learned some things. So the first thing we learned was that showing a very high stake percentage, so that either coins were off market or were locked, says that there's a lot of faith in the project because the coins aren't going to be traded. But the market cap's low. So when trying to convince new people to come on board, it looks like a tiny market cap coin. Nobody cares. So let's try a different thing. Let's leave the coins unlocked and just free. In theory, they can be traded. This is the sort of exit risk or collapse risk that people talk about. Oh, OA is going to have all these coins. They could just dump them. And the project has to trust that that won't happen. So this is the just hold and do nothing option. That's kind of what we've been doing. I think that's the pattern we've been in, is that there are some very large holders who are just doing nothing with the coins. There is some risk of price collapse, but that only hurts the people who have all those coins. So there's a tension there in what you might want to do in terms of exiting your position now versus having a high market cap to convince more people to come on board. Market cap seems to be a very marketable feature of a coin. So of the options, the one that keeps the coins in circulation and discoverable by the total supply API that all these sites rely on, that seems to be an important thing to do. So instead of just having the coins free to be sold, you could put them into Uniswap, so you can provide liquidity. They're not burned, but they are providing a service. They're insulating the price against movement. However, one of the things we talked about earlier is that you're also then making it more lucrative for people to dump because they can't move the price as much. Even if they're very large whales as an individual, they just don't have anything compared to what an OA or an OA surrogate could do. So that rewards dumpers, it kind of props up the market cap, but it also makes the price look more attractive. So those are the trade-offs there. Or it could stake. So staking, like long stake, this is the thing that we haven't tried yet, or that we haven't seen tried yet. In theory, that, burn is, I'll address burn in a second. So if you long stake, that shows that there's a lot of faith in the project. It could emergency unstake and reward current stakers, but that's like a commitment to future behavior. Maybe that would be advantageous. If we saw many long stakes so that the OA could tactically choose to end some of them, but not all of them, then you could maybe get the best of both worlds there, where you're rewarding stakers, but not giving up a large chunk of your position. That, I think, is going to depend on how the project is viewed and adopted by the public in the coming years. I mean, this is a long time horizon project, so the facts on the ground are going to change what decisions are optimal at any given time. So there may be a time in the future where market cap isn't as important, where you've onboarded many, many people, and there's an understanding that market cap is manipulated like everything else. Again, within the community, we've run into this. I didn't think about that coin market cap gets to choose who is on page one. It's not an algorithm. Or rather, it is an algorithm, but it's not a transparent one. It's not like X times Y equals N. So at some point, there may be enough exposure for the project that you can do things that demonstrate faith without having to worry about the marketing backlash. So burning coins might be a marketing win, like, hey, look, the OA had half the coins, but it burned them all, and so now it's a totally egalitarian project. Oh, and half the market cap is gone, or actually more, because there are a lot of people that have staked. So that could be very destructive to the projection of value for the project. That, hey, why is the market cap suddenly 1% of what it was yesterday? Because let me tell you why. Because the beneficent OA that had all the coins, it burned them all. Why did it do that? Because because we're trying to convince some people that there were no bad intentions. But who were you trying to convince? People who aren't going to come on board anyway. So I see no value at all in burning the tokens. It would be a gesture to earn the trust of people who will not trust you anyway. Say, oh, but you're going to absorb penalties and for forever, so your gesture was meaningless, and you've just hamstrung your own marketability as being a high value product, kind of for no reason.
So they could also just say, oh, you're going to emergency unstake and send half of it back to yourself, right? That could be the counter argument.
Long staking is the same thing. To me, that's actually a benefit of the OA, that the OA can do things to reward some people and not other people, and not pay the full tax that we all do, so it doesn't lose the power to do that again in the future, right? Like you don't want all of its contingencies to be one-shot contingencies. You want it to be able to take meaningful action many times over the course of many years. And the only way it can do that is if you have these mechanisms where it can retain its position. Now, it has to pay for the privilege to do that. We would still get half of its penalty, but that is the mechanism by which it's rewarding us. So I don't see that as a downside. Yep. So that's kind of the pros and cons across all those. I think burning has no pros, no real ones. It has some conceptual ones, but I don't think they're real. I guess the final point I'll put on, Stef, on your question on the things the OA can do, pros and cons. I think the evidence so far is that the OA is doing long view good things, and it's not focused on short-term gain things. Again, it's tried a couple of things, or its surrogates have tried a couple of things so far, high stake percentage and high market cap. So far, high market cap seems to be better for the project. Uniswap liquidity was good for a while, but maybe that's hit a point of diminishing returns. I think we're going to see more experimentation, is basically what I'm saying. We have about 6 months of launch phase left, so there's a little bit more time for experiments. And I think whatever the chatter is closer to big payday, and what the state of being gate kept is closer to big payday, will determine a lot of what actually happens.